Welcome to Seneca County, Ohio. We have a very glaciated part of Ohio. It's nice and flat around here. All of our water still runs downhill.
We have the Sandusky River here to the east of me that drains a lot of water.
Sandusky River feeds into Lake Erie.
We've got huge direct transport possibilities for not only sediments but nutrients that are going to come off of our farm.
And the Western Lake Erie Basin has recently had some major issues with harmful algae blooms. And those blooms create a toxin that closed the city of Toledo's drinking water for multiple days. And the harmful algae blooms were caused by phosphorus in the water. That phosphorus came from the agricultural land in the watershed.
There's a fair amount of massive tillage done. I think that really is kind of a detriment to our stream and our water quality.
It's sad to me that, you know, there's a lot of topsoil coming off that farm, going down them tributaries, you know, and when that water starts turning muddy, that's topsoil.
Which makes bad fishing and bad recreation and bad water for the city of Toledo and the Detroit. Guys fall till and they put nothing out there, and we have windstorms. I can show you spots where there's 6 inches of topsoil deposited in the road ditches because of the wind, and we can't afford to do that. Here right now is a dirt drift instead of a snow drift. The windbreak here caught it and it drifted through this area where the one tree's missing. Right in this spot right here, we're looking at approximately 5 inches of topsoil that blew off of the farm.
People are still stuck in, I have to till the ground. You can't convince me that I don't have to till my soil to get the same production I'm getting now. I mean, it's definitely a mindset change.
The one generation that's operating the farm learned how to be farmers from the generation before them. And so sometimes we struggle with starting new things because it would be going against our family traditions.
Dad's always, I mean, he was born and raised on the farm. Grandpa was born and raised on the farm. They always came out, they moldboard plowed everything, they dissed everything twice. It was just, that's the way they always did it. And then I want to try and find other ways of doing it and not run across the field 6 times every spring. And
we make our own decisions and they make theirs.
Same equipment, same labor, different brains.
I have a lot of guys, you know, they look at you and sometimes they don't even want to talk to you anymore because you're doing something different than what the norm is in the area. And I guess there's times that you don't want to listen to what I call coffee shop gossip, and you got one guy talking negative. They all get that idea, well, that's not going to work.
The skeptics probably do try to keep an appearance up. I would think maybe they're worried about what their neighbors say and worried about what's going on across the fence.
So when I'm talking conservation practices, I'm talking about no-till production. I'm talking about water control structures where we can help control the amount of water that leaves our farm and moves into the streams. I'm talking about using cover crops every year on every acre.
And I think with conservation, that's the biggest thing. We can keep our nutrients in our soils, on our farms. We're not sending it downstream. And that's where cover crops come in. It pulls them nutrients out of that water and holds it onto your farm. It's not sending it down the tile, and it's not sending it down Wolf Creek, and it's not sending it down the Sandusky River to the lake.
Those are some of the common practices that we're encouraging producers in Seneca County to implement.
If I was going to start a conversation with a farmer about adopting these practices, I would think one of the first things I would want to encourage him to do is to start with some cover crops, maybe just rye in a corn stubble field. Something to help hold the soil, help dry the soil out in the spring, something to recuperate the nutrients that are already in the soil left over and keep the phosphorus from going to the lake. So that's a very simple practice, it's inexpensive, it's easy to do.
Why not try it? I mean, do a side-by-side comparison. That's kind of what we did this year. We got 6 acres of corn and no-till, and we got 6 acres of corn and conventional tillage. I'm gonna see what happens. I mean, it's gonna just give it a shot and see what comes up.
It's the way I want to do it now. I don't even want to think about going back to the old conventional tillage methods.
It's very hard to come up with new ways to intrigue people, to get them interested in it.
I think one of the best ways to change a farmer is to show him what benefits you can get as a result of the change. If you can make as much money and change and have less inputs, it's pretty easy to change.
Once we get them to try it, it seems like we don't always have them hooked, but then they start to realize that there's something good happen. They can get out in this ground, and when they get out and they start walking around, one of their first comments is they see that the ground is darker. And so to a farmer, when they see darker soil, they know that relates to something.
You put that soil in your hand and you can see that difference, that's telling you you're doing something right.
You need to just look a little bit closer at some of your concerns and some of your problem areas that you're having and see if there's anything out there besides a piece of tillage equipment that could help resolve some of the problems. The most effective way to change farmer behavior is through the family unit.
If you want to have your farm around for many generations, so your kids and their kids and the grandkids and that keep moving down.
I got a couple little boys. I think they've drank the Kool-Aid now. I think they believe in it. So I feel pretty comfortable that if I was to not farm next year, that if they started doing some of it, I don't think we'd see any tillage equipment in their hands.
To get long-term conservation, I mean, you're going to need a generation change, a mindset change.
Yeah, you know, in the coming decade or so, there are going to be new brains making the decisions, and it just does tend to be the younger generation that is willing to try new things.
The grant project that we've been working on that's funded by the Great Lakes Protection Fund is a challenging, inspiring, big idea that came from the National Wildlife Federation. It's a multi-state project looking at how we can improve farmer culture to adopt more cover crops. Just truly studying the science behind outreach and the science behind behavior changes so that we can help inspire more cover crops then. Changing farmer culture to more conservation-minded decisions and behaviors is absolutely vital to the Great Lakes. And in Seneca County, just in the last 3 years, I've already seen the farmers share different experiences because of the lake and because of their desire to be better citizens of the lake.
I mean, if you're not part of the conservation, part of the next step forward, you're kind of part of the problem that's holding it back.
So it's been said that essentially a farmer has 40 chances to grow a crop, 40 tries. And our goal should be to make each one better. And not just to do it the same each time. So from the first try to the fourth try, I would hope that we're making changes and trying to advance and trying to do better, not just financially, but also environmentally and making an impact that really matters.
If you want to keep the land and keep it out here, try conservation.